Welcome back to my garage, guys. In today's video, we are going to be working on the Nitro here. We are going to be changing out the main drive belt. Now, depending on your year, make, and model, it can either be a serpentine belt or a V belt, either a smooth V belt or a toothed V belt. But that is something very important to keep an eye on because it does drive. It's driven by the crankshaft, and it in turn connects to everything, all the other accessories on the vehicle. The alternator, the water pump, or usually the water pump, the alternator, power steering, AC compressor, stuff like that. So if the V belt snaps or breaks, you will lose power. Your alternator will no longer be powered, so it will not produce power for the vehicle, which can cause it to die while you're driving. You could lose the AC compressor, which you won't be blowing AC anymore, and your vehicle will continue to run, but you could lose power steering, any of the other accessories that are attached to the drive belt. So it's always important to make sure that that is in good working condition. So I do have my replacement belt here. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove it and then replace it. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started, and I'll give you a little bit more information as we're going through it. So here on the Nitro, the drive belt is here on the accessories. You can see it. You can get a good view of it. Now this is the lateral view across here. So the drive belt is here. It's going to be a little bit difficult to get to on this particular engine because we have the coolant and windshield washer fluid containers in place. So we're going to have to get that removed. In order to better get access to it, I'm also going to remove the air intake box as well as the battery, because there are two bolts that hold it into place down here at the bottom. I'll get access to those, then simply unplug the hose here and remove the power harness for the windshield wiper pump here. Get this removed, and then we'll get access to the drive belt itself. But once you get the tension loosened and the tension off of the belt itself, you'll just simply pull it off, route the new one on, and then put everything back together in reverse order. So let's go ahead and get that started. All right, so in order to get off the terminals, we're going to use a 10 mil socket to loosen up the terminals, as well as the hold down right here. So let's go ahead and get those loosened. So those are loosened. So I'm going to use these two extensions on the ratchet to get those off. And that one as well. Well, that one is a 10 millimeter as well. I do have this handy electric screwdriver that I'll use to get it loose. Because you can use something like this, but you just don't want it to be high torque, like a larger drill or of course, an impact. Those have very high torque and can severely damage parts, the bolts in the system that don't necessarily require high torque. So I got these loosened. Go ahead and remove the battery. Hopefully this little electric screwdriver will get it loose. Yeah, just like that. We got it loosened. So then we're simply going to wiggle it loose. Pull the little breather hose from the back. All right. Now this usually just comes off in one piece. Just pull it up because there's no bolts holding this into place. Typically just a little tap holding it. Let me see. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm going to take off the lid. Put that over to the side. And usually it's just a matter of pulling this up. Yeah, it's got little rubber grommets on the bottom side of it that hold it into place. Sometimes they will come off, so we'll pull them off, put them back down in their respective locations. There and there. Right. We'll put this over to the side, and then I'll get those grommets properly placed before I put it back in. So now one of the bolts is, or screws I should say, we have one here, and then the other is right here. Get those off. What I'm going to do now is, once I loosen it up, I'm going to disconnect this harness here because I don't want to remove the pump, because if I do, coolant's gonna, or not coolant, but windshield wiper fluid's gonna start leaking out, and I don't want that to happen. On this side, I am going to remove this hose up here, not at the bottom, but up here at the top, so that, again, coolant doesn't leak out. So let's get that taken care of. I don't remember what kind of bolts they are. I can't recall if they were Phillips or flatheads, but I do know that they're on the smaller side. Not that side. Camera to double check what kind of bits those are, and actually they do take a Torx bit. So if you don't know what a Torx bit is, the head looks a lot like a star right there. So we're going to use this bit here, put this all together. There we go. Right, so we have this screw out, and then we're going to get the other one out as well. This one is going to be more of a pain in the butt because of all the stuff that's in the way. Back here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, so we got the other one out. Now with those two out, this one should be a lot easier because this one is just the this one is just I just gotta disconnect or pull off this pipe here for the coolant. There we go. So I got this coolant pipe disconnected. Now it's just time to pull off the one for the power for the I'm not sure how this one disconnects, but I'm pretty sure I gotta push this in. Push something in and then pull this one out. Pull it out. And this one up. There we go. So we got that one out as well. Typically there's 3 bolts that hold it into place. 1, 2, 3. Well, because this is made of plastic and because you have a tendency to push on it here, it stripped out the holes. So what I ended up doing is I went further back on the tabs, drilled out a fresh hole there, and there, and it's actually being held in by zip ties. Don't knock zip ties. They are extremely handy in a pinch and can also provide semi-permanent and permanent repairs. So now with this last one being cut, the entire housing will be loose from the engine bay. So I should just have to up. Oh, hold on, let me take off the cap. Radiator cap seems to be in the way. There we go. Oh, what is this? Oh, what is this holding on over here? Oh, the pump is being held on now. I disconnect this without it spilling it everywhere. Well, looks like I might have to spill a little bit of windshield wiper fluid after all. Yeah, simply because of where it is. Damn it. I was hoping not to have to do that, but it spilled out a little bit, so, oh yes, this thing definitely needs to be changed out. So, I'm going to bring the camera a little bit closer. I don't know if you can tell, but right here, the belt is already beginning to be frayed. So I'm going to zoom in. To show y'all what needs to be loosened. Hopefully you can see it, but if not, that's fine. I'll of course describe it. I think it's a 15 mil. So here we have the tensioner pulley. Now the tensioner pulley is just an idle pulley. It's just there. It's spring loaded. It has a it's spring loaded. It's just an idle pulley, so it doesn't provide any resistance or anything. And by resistance, it doesn't drive anything. It just spins under its own volition. And it is spring loaded. So we're going to take my breaker bar here. We got a 15mm socket on the end of it. We're going to put it on the end right there. Let me see if you guys can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so this one right here is going to be the idler or the tensioner pulley. So we're going to take this, put it on the end of it, and give me a second to take a moment and see how everything is running. So we're going to go from the top of the AC compressor down to the water pump, up to the alternator, around the power steering, underneath the crankshaft, on top of this idler pulley, over to the across to the tensioner pulley, and then back up to the AC compressor. So I got the socket on the tensioner. Gonna wrench down on it. You see it'll relieve the tension on the belt. Simply pull it right off. We're gonna leave the socket on there, and then we're just gonna pull the old belt right off. And as you can tell, this belt definitely needed to be replaced. As you can see, it's already starting to fray. Right there, you can see that top rib was starting to show. And yeah, so you can see here, the ridges are very well defined. They're really sharp. That is a telltale sign. You see there, they're kind of pointed. That's a telltale sign that this belt is starting to get worn. What I noticed is on the back side, because I actually didn't see any of this fraying here. What I did notice on the back side was this crack right here. When you start seeing a crack like that appear, it's definitely time to change your idler pulley or the drive belt. Now for reference, we'll get the new one out. And as you can tell, the new one is going to be smooth all the way across. But if you look at the ridges, you'll notice that the ridges are flat. It's not worn. There are no peaks. There's no sharp points. They will sit nicely into the grooves of the pulleys. Whereas a worn out belt, you'll have sharper ridges at the top. So we'll do them side by side. So worn on this side, brand new on this side. So brand news will have flatter ridges. Worn out ones will have sharper ridges. So now that we got everything taken off, let's go ahead and get the belt routed again and get it all set. Okay, so now we have, as I showed before, we have the old belt taken off. We have the new belt here. So we're gonna put it over or around the what you call it, the breaker bar. So remember, we're gonna go underneath or over the compressor, underneath the water pump, over the alternator, across the across to the power steering pump. Now we're gonna go under here. Now we're gonna go underneath the bottom of the crankshaft. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it up to apply tension to it. So that way it kind of gets settled on all of the pulleys. It's on all of them. Now I can get it over the idle pulley, not the tensioner pulley, but the actual idle pulley. So that's when I'm going to wrench down on the tensioner. Oops. As much as I can. Then I'm going to grab the belt, pull it up over the idler pulley, get it set here. All right. It started to slip from under the crankshaft. So I'm going to get that one pushed back down. And then we're going to let up on the tension. And then we're going to check. So we have smooth around the compressor, smooth around the water pump, smooth. I'm making sure that it's inlaid into all the grooves within the belt, within the pulleys here. Same thing with the power steering pump. Same thing with the crankshaft. Up over here, over the idler pulley, it's seated on the tensioner, and it looks like we're all done. So with that, we have the belt routed correctly on the drive. Go ahead and pull it. And this is what I mean. What I was doing is I was testing to make sure that the belt was in the grooves and in the wear pattern of all of the pulleys, and it did all the way around. So a little closer inspection or description: AC compressor, water pump, alternator, power steering pump. That is the drive shaft. Idler pulley, because it doesn't move, it just spins. It's not connected to anything. This is the tensioner pulley. You can tell it's the tensioner pulley because it's going to be connected to this arm right here. And when you wrench on it, you're actually pulling it clockwise, which pulls it this way because it's spring loaded to apply pressure that way. So when you pull it up, it loosens the tension on the belt and then it allows it to come right off and then back around to the AC compressor. So we got that back in its spot. We're going to go ahead and reassemble everything in reverse order. All right, guys, so we have everything finished up here. Have the battery put back into place. We have the reservoirs put back into place. The air intake box into place. Everything is tightened down. Nothing is loose. We went ahead and we changed out the drive belt on this 3.7 liter V6 in the Nitro. And just to give you a better view of what happened with the drive belt, this is the old drive belt. And I'll put it on here so you can see it's frayed here. Actually in several locations. So it's frayed there. It's frayed here as well. And yeah, so I always preach maintenance. So, check your fluids, check your belts. I will show you what prompted me during an inspection to change out this belt, and it was really lucky because it's only one section of it that shows it. But when it was on the engine, when it was in place, you see this little crack here. That little crack is what told me it was time to change out the belt, because you will see it is actually worn through. It's broken at that point. What will happen is if you continue to run it, this crack will expand throughout the entire length of the belt, and eventually it will break off. So instead of having all of this belt, you would only have this portion right here, or maybe this portion right here spinning on the spinning. So because there's not much contact, you'll lose power. You'll be decreased power to all of your accessories that I explained at the beginning of this video. So yeah, that's why it's really important. You can see there's a lot of wear. You can see the ribs, or not the ribs, but the I kind of want to say steel belting, but the cloth belting, I guess. When you're inspecting your belts, you will see cracks along the width, like this, across. That's fine. That's completely normal. Of course, you don't want them to get too deep, but again, once you start seeing cracks along the length, I just found this one. This is not the one from earlier. This one I just found. There's another crack along the length of it right here, which is which would run in tandem with the other one here. So we have one crack developing here, and then of course the bigger one here that was actually split. So one here and one there. So just looking at it, they were actually developing across. So you have it here and then here. So you can see they were developing in that same groove. So eventually what will happen is, I believe it was this second or third one here. What would have happened is it would have just sheared off. And then instead of being a six groove belt, it would have just either been a two groove or a single groove, I should say. Or no, a two groove and a four groove. So it would have split like this. But yeah, we stopped that from happening. So thanks guys for coming along with me. Remember, always inspect your vehicle at least once a month. You know, you don't want to go too long without inspecting it. That way, you don't run into something like this. Because if this, like I said, if this would had broken while you were driving, you would have lost power steering. You would have lost. If it was a hot day and you had the AC, you would have lost AC. You would have lost power steering. You would have lost the cooling. Your engine would have started overheating because the water pump would not have been spinning. And probably the quickest way you would notice is your battery light would have come on because your alternator would not have been spinning. It would not have been charging your battery or powering the vehicle, because when you're driving the vehicle, it's the alternator that's actually powering the vehicle, not the battery. But yeah, you would have lost all that. You would have been stuck out and about on the side of the road somewhere waiting for a tow truck. So always, always, always maintain your vehicles, inspect them regularly. Please, I beg of you. Yes, I do car content. Yes, I love showing off the Hellcat, but more than that, I do want you guys to be safe out there on the road, because I love you all. And if you were my family member, I would not want you to be stranded anywhere. I don't like to be stranded anywhere. But as always, thanks for coming along on this video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.